And then there should be Dana too. Hello, hello.
Okay, it should be live.
Okay. I unmuted the mic.
Well, we're muted right now, so we can go. So if you just
Yeah.
Okay, if somebody
Testing,
wants to talk
testing,
into the...
testing.
Hello, hello, hello.
I don't hear anything. Oh. Yes, we're...
For the mic.
Hi, hi, can you hear me? Check 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
Yeah, it's not actually live.
There's like a delay.
There's a delay, yeah.
Okay.
So
Were you able to hear from the tablet or the mic?
I think both, actually.
Is that a good thing?
Let's see.
I felt like you were advertised as the audio guy, but you're like the equipment guy, like the broad
I'm-
term of it.
Well, I'm actually just a guy.
I know you're a
I'm-
photographer.
Yeah, and I work with the TV Society in Cache Creek.
Nice.
So that's why I'm just...
Okay.
You can probably mute it right now.
I
would
should.
imagine.
Yes.
Welcome, everybody, to the Ashcroft All Candidates Forum. My name is Brandy Cooper Chardon, and I'd like to do the traditional acknowledgement of the land that we're doing the All Candidates Forum of the Inclutma peoples today. And your moderator will be Dana Foster, and she'll start the forum.
Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. That's right. I'm Dana Foster. I am your civic journalist for Valley TV, and tonight I'll be monitoring tonight's All Candidates Forum. We do have our question period coming up later in the evening, but we would like you to fill out those forms if you have questions, and then I'll be asking the questions directly to the candidates. We will not be opening the floor. And the mayor is here tonight, but she will not be answering questions. However, if you do have any questions for her, you can always email her office. And I think that's about it. We're going to start from the left side for our introductions. I am just following my agenda. I haven't been in public for 3 years, so excuse my nerves. And so we are streaming online as well. So if you happen to have your phone and you want to ask a question, we'll be monitoring the online questions as well. So Jonah, if you'd like to introduce yourself, we will just go down the line and just introduce yourself, and then we'll go into our opening statements.
My name is Jonah Astet. I'm a born and raised hometown boy. I was born at the Ashcroft District General Hospital in 1982. I am seeking re-election here to help serve my community and to see it grow. I just want to see Ashcroft become a prosperous place. I've lived in other areas through BC and Alberta, and I just keep coming home because it's home. And I love this place, so I just want to see nothing but the best for Ashcroft. I just want to see it grow and get better.
Thank you. And next?
So are we just introducing
We're just introducing ourselves. We're not doing our opening presentation.
just our names?
Just your introductions.
I'm yours, Akring. Everybody knows I was not born here. I'm glad that I can actually run now. I tried running before and got sick. Now, with the help of our wonderful medical system, I'm better. So I can run. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I always stand up. I can't talk and sing.
Good work.
I think most of you know me from my time around here, working at the Jade store, working at Safety Mart, being on council previously, so I'm not even going to get into it. So you all know. Oh, well, they know my name. They all know me. Hi, Doreen.
Never met you before.
That's all I have to say. I didn't realize we were having an opening statement, to be honest. I must have misread.
The agenda. Yeah, go ahead. Nadine, you're next.
My name is Nadine Davenport. I've been in Ashcroft for 14 years. Started off as the pool supervisor here in Ashcroft, and 9 years ago opened Unity Campaign Lounge. I just am seeking my re-election on my second term, and I look forward to working for all of you for the next 4 years. We have lots of work to do.
And my name is Jessica Clement, and I've also lived here for 14 years and have chosen to move to Ashcroft that time and love it and would never leave, I don't think. So.
All right, thank you very much. Now we're going to have a few words from our Mayor, Barbara Roden.
Oops, it sounds like it's on. Hi, I'm Barbara Roden, Mayor of the Village of Ashcroft for the last 4 years, and I will be the Mayor for the next 4 years, so you're stuck with me, I'm afraid. Just want to say that it has been an honor and a privilege to be Mayor for the last 4 years. Along with a great council and a great staff, we have accomplished a lot. I look forward to the next 4 years accomplishing even more. And I just need to say that it has been a great council, and I can't state too highly how important it is to have a council that is respectful, that engages in dialogue. We don't always agree, we have had disagreements, but every time that has happened, there has been respectful exchange of views. People have listened to other people. So it's been a great group of people to work with, and we have a fantastic staff and public works crew. They make us look really, really good. So thank you to them. Look forward to the next 4 years. And thank you to these 5 people for putting your names forward. There are a lot of keyboard warriors out there who are very happy to tell you exactly what they do if they got on council. And it's always interesting to see who actually steps forward, because it is a very brave thing to do. It is a very civic-minded thing to do. You're giving up a lot of your life, a lot of your time. You're letting yourself in for some criticism from time to time. So thank you to these 5 people for putting their names forward and taking this leap for the village of Ashcroft. We all do it because we love it. We're all here tonight because we love Ashcroft, and we all want to see it get better, and I'm confident that whoever is around the council table over the next 4 years, we are just going to go on to even better things.
Thank you, Mayor Roden. And we are now going to have opening statements. We're going to start from left to right again. And each person is going to have 2 to 3 minutes. We will be monitoring time, and we'll let you know when your time is up. All right, we can start off with Jonah. Thank you.
So for myself, I'm probably not going to use the whole 2 or 3 minutes, because talking can only get us so far, and action is where we need to get. So I'm going to listen to as many people as I can during this term, and hoping that people will see what the collective group of us have seen for the last 4 years, and hopefully continue that on for the next 4 years as well. These last 4 years, I've learned that nothing in politics is quick and fast. It is slow, it's time consuming, but with the right people and the right staff behind you in that, it goes a long way. I've had the opportunity of working with the staff in the village for the last 4 years, and it sure has made my transition from knowing absolutely nothing about politics at all to where I can actually sit and take a whole meeting in, and I know and I can understand what's going on in a full meeting in that. I come in from a zero political background, and just coming in to want to help my community. I feel that I did what I had set out to do in my last election, and I'm hoping that I can just continue on to serve the citizens of the town and just see that not only what I want to see for the community, but what everybody else wants to see for the community in that. Because at the end of the day, it's not my decision, it's everyone else's decision on what they want.
Thank you, Jonah. And there we go.
Hi all. I'd like to start off by asking you to help me, because I think we need a round of applause for Marilyn, for sticking it out for the last 4 years. And let's not forget Debbie for sticking it out for the last 4 years. This guy has been on for 4 years. She's been here before. She's been there. And there's a newcomer. And I want to thank all of them for doing this. Thank you, Barb. The other thing is, what about me? Well, I've wanted to somehow have an input and somehow help the community. I have done it in any which way I could find. And now it's time to do it as a member of council. I don't know what else I can say. I'm a nice guy. And my 2 minutes are up.
Thank you very much. And going to our next candidate, please.
I've been asked a few questions over the last few weeks, so I'm just going to quickly go through them because we only have 2 minutes. Or 3 minutes. We have to talk fast. I've been asked why I'm running. It was a big decision. I really tossed and turned and thought, didn't sleep for a few nights. But it looked like not enough people were going to run to have an election. And I'm a firm believer that council should be elected and not claimed or appointed. So I really want to thank everybody here that's running. Without them, we wouldn't have an election. I'm not as good as you guys. I can keep reading my notes. The train whistle. The good old train whistle. It's an ongoing issue, and it has been for many years. And I don't know what we're going to do. I do know that when I was on council before, it was going to cost the village $750,000 to put in a controlled crossing. And as we all know, everything's gone up, so I can only imagine how much it would be now. If I'm elected, I will work with council and staff towards finding a solution, and we will not give up on it. Off-leash dog park has been brought up as well. So I'd like to see a committee get formed with some dog owners, some staff members, some council members, and work on the issue and see what we can do. Now this one I'm not sure. I really don't know what we're going to do on this one. Recycle. I've had a lot of people, especially seniors, that have no way of getting their recycle up to the recycling depot anymore. Some of them don't drive, some of them don't like to drive on the highway. And I don't know what we're going to do on that either, but I don't have any solutions right now. But I hope we'll have it talked about in council and come up with a solution. This one's exciting for me.
1 minute.
I was very excited when I found out that Thompson View Manor Society has been hard at work on a plan for affordable housing. They're hoping for 20 to 30 units of 1 and 2 bedroom apartments to be located between the manor and the police station. Some would be low income and some at market value. It's a work in progress, but hopefully it's a light at the end of the tunnel.
30 seconds.
Holy doodle. I've been asked why I didn't put my name forward last election. It's because when my mom passed away after a long illness, I was tired and I truly didn't have the energy. But I'm back,
15.
I'm re-energized, and I'm ready and eager to serve my community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nadine? And time.
Good evening. Great to see all of you, and thank you for coming tonight. If elected, this would be my second term on council. I thought I'd take a moment to reflect on the last 4 years first. Our collective successes over the past 4 years have at times felt overshadowed by some of the very difficult times we've experienced. The effects of the wildfires, pandemics, flooding, lack of workers, problematic healthcare system, and as of late, inflation. No doubt experiencing these challenges alone and together has certainly challenged our collective fortitude. But with the help of a strong leadership, a knowledgeable and capable staff, long-term dedicated village workers, and a cohesive council that worked well together the past 4 years, we really are blessed to have so many committed, talented people working for you, the taxpayers, within the village of Ashcroft. The working group's approach our CAO introduced has been especially worthwhile and effective.
2 minutes.
Broadening our shared responsibilities and accountability with our community as elected officials. Our CFO is a whiz at asset management and balancing our budget with only 2.5% increase this coming year. I wanted to thank and publicly acknowledge Councillor Deb Toohey and Councillor Marilyn Anderson for their 4 years of service, and may you both truly find retirement. We will miss you both. Projects, I believe, are the collective success stories. Upgrades to our fire hall just started this week. The community garden, all beds were rented this last summer. Finishing off the water treatment plant. the Trails Master Plan, neighbor collaboration, water to the Ashcroft Indian Band, and a desire for connected trail system is an example of that collaboration. And I believe we are getting closer to that, making that all happen. Economic and development housing go hand in hand. Housing developments have been slow and challenging at times, but there's still an interest in some movement. By attracting the right kind of business or industry, we will see growth in our downtown core and population base. We need those 20 and 30-year-olds to stay in Ashcroft and create families of their own. There are many critical issues. Cost of inflation for local, because it affects local businesses. Fingers crossed there's relief with our new urgent care model that was just introduced at the hospital. I'm excited to continue to take on this challenge, and I ask for your vote on October 15th.
Thank you. Everybody's been staying under their marks. Good job. And Jessica.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to come and hear what we all have to say. My name is Jessica, and since choosing to move here, I've been an active member of this community. It's been a pleasure serving Ashcroft in a variety of ways over the years. Leading the organizing of the Ashcroft Fall Fair for 10 years taught me to manage a large event with a variety of income sources, working with a group of people with differing opinions, and managing all of the different pieces that go into the fair. Serving as president of the Winding Rivers Arts and Performance Society has given me the opportunity to sit on a variety of committees, each focused on a different project, from putting on the next theatrical production, planning that year's Canada Day events, and organizing the annual plein air paint-out, where we welcome up to 50 artists from around the province to paint outdoors in this beautiful landscape we get to call home. Being the vice chair of the Community Resources Society and being part of the COVID helpline has shown me where this community is lacking in services and has allowed me to build and foster relationships with those organizations and individuals that are filling those gaps. And now as the executive director of the Ashcroft Hub, I'm putting all of that knowledge to good use. I'm managing a large budget, which consists of a large number of income sources and a variety of projects all happening at once, as well as the day-to-day operations of the building. Being on council would allow me to continue to serve my community. It would allow me to add my voice to the advocacy that is already being done to keep our needs for healthcare and housing on the minds of all of those in a position to actually do something about it. If elected, I will use the following questions to help filter my decision making. How do we make Ashcroft stand out from the crowd? Communities everywhere are desperate for healthcare workers, entrepreneurs, and affordable housing. What can we do to help them choose Ashcroft? What can we do about climate change? What small steps can be taken to make an impact? Every decision made by council should be filtered through this lens. Is there a greener solution to the problem we are solving? And what do we want Ashcroft to look like in 20 years? And how do we get there? I don't have the answers to those questions.
1 minute.
But I do have a drive and desire to work together with council, staff, our neighbors, and this community to come up with the answers to continue to work the work that has started and carry us into the future where Ashcroft is a thriving, sought-after community. Thank you.
All right, so we are now at a breaking point. We do have coffee and donuts in the back. Now the forms for asking questions are on the back form. Just hand in your forms to Jordan in the back. She's got her hand up, and then at exactly 6:30, we will start the question and answer period. So again, just remember that all questions are going to be through format only, and any questions that you do have for the mayor moving forward can be emailed directly to her at another date. Tonight we're going to be focusing on our candidates. So thank you very much, and we'll see you again here at 6:30. 10 minutes.
My apologies. Yeah. So I attended UBCM this year, and I learned a lot about reconciliation, truth and reconciliation, from where it has gone from. It's gone from talk all these years to no action, and now they're looking for what they're calling reconciliation now. It's they're looking for reconciliation. It's time to take action and actually make forward and make good with these steps that we're talking about. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to my local First Nations leaders and elders in that, because you have to include our elders in that. The elders in our area have so much knowledge about our land and our area in general, so that they need to be sought after for their advice as well. It's going to start with starting at the bottom and working our way to the top. It's going to take a lot of work, but the only time to do it is now.
Thank you. And moving on.
Well, here, that's nicely said, and I can only agree with you. Where I would like to start is my focus is going to be on climate adaptation. It's too late to worry about climate the way it's going. We know it's the way it's going, and we're all feeling the effects of it. Now it's time to adapt to a new climate, and no better people to get advice from than the people who have been stewards of this land for thousands of years. They've seen it come, they've seen it go, and we should definitely include them in any and all discussions about climate adaptation. Thank you.
Sorry, can you just repeat the question?
What steps do you suggest for reconciliation with local Indigenous groups?
All right. I don't have any real answers, but I think one thing we could do is reach out to them. And remember after the fires in 2017, and we had like a community meal, everybody joined together, community, like our communities, their communities, and I think if we did a barbecue or something, that would be one step towards hopefully making us all one instead of a whole bunch of different entities.
The night before the Orange Walk, I watched a very important movie on Gem, and it was called Where Are the Children, I believe. And I believe that that should be part of the curriculum. It unfortunately does not even scratch the surface of actually what happened and what continued to happen up until the last school was shut down in 1996. So that, to me, is a big part of the education and our empathy that perhaps is part of where we are starting. This is a starting point that seems to be we're able to collaborate with. We have done a fair bit of reaching out to our band areas in our council. I would suggest moving forward that we actually have a working group as well that would facilitate education within our community, sponsoring. There's a lot of Indian band things that go on the reserves, and education that could be brought to our schools, brought to our community, and the working group could definitely facilitate that. And that's where I would start.
Thank you. And Jessica?
I think that the first step in reconciliation, and especially with our neighboring Indigenous leaders and Indigenous peoples, is to build relationships. I know that it's been a struggle to have, and they've been closed off for the last 3 or 4 years with COVID. And so to be able to actually just sit informally with them and start that relationship building would be the first step. And then also learning from them, learning about them, and learning the atrocities that have happened to them, so that we can use those learnings in our decision-making process.
Thank you very much, candidates. Our next question. My memory is, this is from Marianne Simpson, for returning counselors. My memory is that housing was very important during the last election. Candidates, please talk about what has prevented progress.
Progress has been prevented by, like I said earlier in my statement, nothing in this politics is quick. It's a slow, tedious process, unfortunately. We have bylaws in place that are there to protect the members of the community in that, and unfortunately, we have to go through with what the bylaws say in that in order to allow the possibilities of new housing projects in the area and that. So we have to get on the same page and work with the builders of our area and that to get to where we need to. It's not, housing is not just an Ashcroft issue. It's, unfortunately, it is a Canada-wide issue. It's a world issue. That's right now. Look at our population increases and that. We're trying to get a population increase in Ashcroft here more than that, and we don't see more of that. So without the right housing in that, we're not going to be able to attract the right people and keep them in our community. So.
Thank you. Nadine?
I believe it. A lot of it has to do that the village actually doesn't really have a lot of land. And that is a problem when it comes to negotiating with other property owners, perhaps like Desert Hills, who unloaded some land, and it was bought by some developers. We actually sat in this very place hoping that they would do something with it. They did not. And it went back to the landowner, and as I understand it now, there's an interested developer, and I think what happens is that the infrastructure of Ashcroft, for us to look at, we have to expand because that land hasn't been used. So we're looking 25 years in advance. What needs to be done? Drainage, all that kind of stuff. That takes time. That takes building codes and TNRD and negotiation with the developer. I think there is promise, though, with what has happened with the Tingley Street apartments. They are renovating them. It's bit by bit, apartment by apartment. They are going to be rentals. There is some light at the end of the tunnel. And as Jonah said, every community at UBCM, we heard it exactly the way we're telling it to you. There's a problem. There's a real big problem. So we have to be creative.
All right, and now we are going to move on to Mayor Roden is going to also answer that.
COVID was a big setback for housing. Everything just shut down for basically 2 years. One of the issues we're running into is we did overhaul our official community plan and zoning bylaws. We put in a subdivision servicing and development bylaw. All of this was designed to streamline the development process, because what you hear out of the big centers is things get bogged down in red tape for years, quite literally. And we, after consultation with the community, found that people were happy to have carriage homes or laneway homes, to have secondary suites, to have that higher density housing. The question is trying to attract contractors and developers to our small communities. If you go to downtown Kamloops, there is so much construction going on in Kamloops, and what every small community is hearing over and over again from developers and from builders and contractors, they have more than enough work to tide them over in Kamloops, in Vernon, Kelowna, Prince George, Penticton. It is just too expensive for them to come to small communities where they have to import the workforce every day. The cost of supplies is rising. Now that said, the Porter property, the former rodeo grounds, is now subdivided off. It is available. We have had developers very interested in that because the cost of land in Ashcroft is a lot less than it is in the urban centers. So what we are trying to do is work with developers, show them our housing needs study assessment that was completed, show them our OCP and zoning bylaws, and say that we are happy to work with you and do what it takes to expedite housing. We're hopeful that we will get some progress on that front, but as has been said, every small community, every large community in the province is crying out for more housing for low income, for renters, for that missing middle, the people who are either looking for something slightly bigger than an apartment or condo, or people who own a 4-bedroom, 2-story family home and are looking to downsize.
Thank you.
That's what we're trying to work on.
And this next question is for the new candidates that are running. Knowing housing has been a focus for the last 4 years, with what I think most of the community would say is limited success. What new ideas do you bring?
I would like you to ask that. I'm not the only one with a puzzled look on my face. Could you re-ask that, please? Sorry.
Knowing housing has been a focus for the last 4 years, with what I think most of the community would say is limited success. What new ideas do you bring for housing?
For housing. Okay. Your turn.
I've never heard her say that before. Yona already pointed out that sometimes things get bogged down in what the average person would call the paperwork. Bylaws that may not allow certain new ideas. In which case, let's start looking at those bylaws. Even though we know it's a long process, but if there's any kind of a roadblock to somebody building something, then let's look at what that roadblock is. I'm glad that the Tingley people are doing their bit, but I would only hope to do it a little faster. You could use it. I'm running for council in Ashcroft, even though I lay my head in Spencer's Bridge. And the whole reason for that is I lost my place in town. I couldn't find another one. As simple as that. There was nowhere that I could go on my budget. And that is a very sad statement. So let's look at that. Is it just the way the world is going? Or is there a bit of greed going on? What can it be? And how can we address that? I'd like to discover a little bit more about that.
Thank you.
Hopefully there's been progress made with, as I said earlier, the Thompson View Manor Society working on building affordable housing. There's still work to be done on it. It's not going to be a quick fix. I don't think there is such a thing as a quick fix when it comes to housing. As Nadine mentioned, the Tingley Street apartments are being worked on. And I think that when the manor finishes their project, seniors will move from their homes, their houses, to the manor and free up houses for the families.
Thank you. And Jessica?
So everything that I'm about to say has been touched on already. Mayor Roden indicated that the OCP and the building bylaws had been changed. I was out on that committee that made those changes. And so we need to look at creative ways to create new housing. Basement suites, mother-in-law suites, cottage houses, carriage houses, which is extra housing on property that's not necessarily being used, that is on your current property. And as Doreen says, once individuals move into the manor, all of those houses will be available for new families or existing families to move into.
Okay, thank you. And our next question, and this is for all candidates. What do you think is Ashcroft's key economic drive? We'll start again. Let's start with Jessica this time. Change it up.
I think that we have moved towards tourism being a huge industry and potential industry in Ashcroft, and I think that we have the potential to be so much more tourism-wise. Unfortunately, it's a big circle, so in order to get people to come here, we need to convince them to be able to come here, but we need them for a place to stay while they're here, and we don't really have a place for them to stay while they're here. So I think that we have done quite a bit with creating attractions and places for people to come and enjoy Ashcroft and the surrounding area, but I think we need to work on that second part of the puzzle, which is we need to convince them to stay for longer than a day. So that's...
Thank you.
You're pointing to me. I think I echo what Jessica just said. I think it's a catch-22, this housing and having a viable downtown core that has enough staffing, that, you know, there's so many things that we could be thinking about that answers this question. Put, you know, the holes in downtown core, it's still an issue, it's still a problem. It still looks like there's something missing. So attracting new innovative business and recreation to set up shop in Ashcroft would be my answer. We have land for sale. It's right downtown, it's on our main street. And unfortunately, it's not bringing any tax dollars with being a parking lot for trucks or an assembly area for parades. And so I think we need, that was the area that we were going to do the park, the dog park. And it was suggested that that would be a good area because it's near the park. But that is prime land that the village can do something about and can develop or can attract a developer. Right now, what we haven't really talked about is the cost of lumber, the cost of putting buildings together. It is still high, and we are in inflation. It's going to get actually worse, my information that I have. So it may be all well and good for us to sit here that we need to have development, but it's the workers, the people who are doing the development, are exactly what Barbara said. They can have full-time work for 2 years in Vernon, in Kamloops, Kelowna, and we are sort of on the bottom of the list. So we need to be very innovative, and actually we need to be very good stewards of our own village and come up with different ideas that we can create entrepreneurship and create housing. It's so hand in hand, you can't talk with one without the other, really.
Thank you. And Doreen.
Okay, that's a good question. I don't have an answer as usual. I think one thing we need, and I know Mayor Roden has worked on it, is we need a motel or a hotel somewhere for a tourist to stay. If they go to Cache Creek, they're just going to keep on driving. We need something to keep them here. I would like to see, and I'm not sure how it would work, more painted sidewalks, like a reconciliation sidewalk, orange with some feathers on it for one. I mean, we could have them all up and down the street. Hopefully people would be interested in seeing that. And our mosaics, in my mind, they should be so much more famous than they are. I really think we have to push that a bit more for tourism. That's my answer.
Thank you.
That sort of leads into one point I want to make is the mosaics, because we have a community full of very talented artists, and yet there is not enough of it shown. I tried to do my bit this summer. I may not last, but I'd like to see artists come to town and find a place to live, because this is a community where they feel at home. The more we can promote the arts, the better off we are. It's just one item that we haven't really done that well with. Even the pardon? Doommakers. Thank you. Have not really been accepted clearly or promoted, or there's something still missing that we can actually improve on. How you do that? Not by opening a little gallery. Didn't happen. Thank you.
Thank you, and Jonah.
So one thing I've noticed over the years is our arts in this town is our strong point. We have such a stronghold. Like, I can just look at all the incredible talented artists, not only like painters, but photographers and that we have in our room. That is something that Ashcroft has solidified in. What else do we need to solidify ourselves in? We have amazing weather. We have a lot of active members in our community that are becoming more active and involved. Like, you're seeing a lot. I'm seeing a lot of people out running in the mornings. Seeing a lot of people out just enjoying the weather that we have. So, with such a strong arts program that we have in our town, that I like to see more of a shift towards our recreation in that, because what do we have around us? We have some of the most amazing recreational aspects in our community that a lot of other places in this world don't have. We have our river that's right here beside us. We have our mountains. You can go anywhere around here and be lost for days and days on a dirt bike, a motorbike, a mountain bike, an electric bike. We need to start looking at bringing in other ways of recreation, electric bikes. We can move forward with working with climate change as well by bringing in things like walks, community walks in our area, like flat walks. We have people that have mobility issues, so use your walk, use your pathways and walkways that can be built for community members that have mobility issues and stuff like that.
Thank you.
I just like to see more. We have such a stronghold here on the arts program, and that, like, it is second to none, our arts out here, and that it's time to enhance our other aspects that we have in this village, and that we have more than just the arts here, and that we have such a beautiful area that we live in, and that we need to promote it more.
Thank you, Jonah. And Mayor Roden, would you like to add on anything to that? What has been the key economic drive for Ashcroft?
75 years ago, the bypass, or cutoff they called it, was built from Ashcroft Manor to Cache Creek along what's now Highway 1. And so 75 years ago, the businesses in Ashcroft were very worried. What is this going to mean to our town if tourists no longer have to come through Ashcroft when they're heading north or south? And 75 years later, we're still wrestling with that. I'm sure everyone here has driven from point A to point B in this province, and the tendency is to drive from point A to point B by the shortest possible route. So that is something we're still working on, is how do we entice people to come down off the highway into Ashcroft if they are not already intending to come here. We have had some success over the last year. Again, COVID, that's just the big elephant in the room all the time. But we have had some success with advertising in Kamloops. I've noticed an uptick in people I've seen around town talk to who say, I've lived in Kamloops for insert massive number of years, and this is my first visit to Ashcroft. We need to attract those people. A hotel would certainly be a big help. We are working on new signage for the highway to not only add signs where we need them, but update some of the tired signage that is currently on the highway to, again, work on enticing people down here, promoting our mosaics, promoting our art, promoting our natural beauty. We're hoping to add to that with trails and recreation, because that is a huge booming industry. Mountain biking, off-road biking, that is moving gradually south with the construction of trail networks. If we can establish Ashcroft as a southern hub for that, enable bikers to get a start to their season before they can do it around Williams Lake and places north of us that have established trails, That's going to be a huge economic boon, and that's something I'd like to see us work on, promote our natural beauty, our outdoors, our rugged spirit, and just diversify the base of people who come here. You know, come for the mosaic, stay for the mountain biking, or vice versa.
We'll keep you, we'll keep you in the hot seat because this kind of question kind of relates to that. The walking path along the river, do you support that? Tourism is important for our community, and this would contribute to people coming here. I'll start with you, Mayor.
Thank you. We did have the Trails Master Plan, which has been not quite finalized. We're looking forward to doing that. The Trails Working Group is one that I was a part of for the last 18 months, I guess. And we're gradually winding up all our working groups, and a lot of them are going to come back the same name, but now with different goals. The first goals have been accomplished. We're looking forward to phase 2. I'm looking forward to a second phase of building more trails around Ashcroft everywhere. Tying back into the First Nations question, I've talked to Jodine Blaine, the band administrator, about what she calls the invisible barrier along Cornwall Road between Ashcroft and the Ashcroft band. People drive along there. She'd love to see people from Ashcroft go up there and use their walking trails around their beautiful softball diamonds. They've got a fantastic playground up there now for kids. And so one of the things I'd like to see is a trail that connects Ashcroft with the Ashcroft band. Get people off the highway if they're traveling between the two communities, get the beautiful views, solidify and cement that relationship. And we need to look at all the areas around Ashcroft where we can build trails. If we can safely build a trail somewhere, then we need to look at it, because we need to explore. I was going to say exploit, but that's the wrong word. We need to explore, and we need to take full advantage of our beautiful surroundings, and we need to construct trails that are at different levels, because when you think of trails, you think of people hiking up the Three Meadows Trail, which is only for people who are very fit, and I know because I've never done it. So we need to be looking at trails for all sorts of people, and we're fortunate we do have the ability to do that around Ashcroft. We don't have a lot of level ground, but we need to look at what we can do there for people who aren't able to do some of the more strenuous hikes.
Thank you. And going to start with Jonah. The walking path along the river, do you support that? And then we'll go back through the rest of the candidates. Thank you.
So I think I had this question in the last go around here. So, at the time, I was in full support of it. But at the time, I was not informed as well as I am now. And with the information that I have collected now, or that I've gathered over my term on council, it's something that I would absolutely love to see it, but there's so much more pieces to that puzzle than to just say, you know what, let's build a walking trail, let's do it. Because you can't. There's some areas on that trail where there needs to be safety things put in place for people in that, because at the end of the day, if somebody gets hurt there, who's the responsibility fall on? It falls on the village of Ashcroft. So for something that's gonna take away from the citizens of Ashcroft, then I have to say, it's not that I don't support it in that, it's just I don't support it at this time with what we have in front of us in that. There's more pieces to that puzzle.
Thank you. And moving on. Do you support the trail along the river?
I haven't really thought about that one. But I totally agree with Jonah. I mean, where do you put it? Who owns what? There's a lot of riverfront properties. Where do you go? CN just stole half of it from the other side. So, it's a big problem. I can see that.
Thank you. Doreen?
I agree with what Jonah said. It's not whether I'm for it or against it, but there's a lot of issues that have to be considered. And one of them is fisheries, because it's so close to the river. And you have to be a certain amount away from the river, unfortunately. So I would say that there would be a lot of work to look into to see if it's feasible or not.
And Nadine.
Again, the idea of any trail is amazing, and any trail that is along the most beautiful thing that we have, which is this river. But there's a issue surrounding the liability. As a person, I really appreciate all the work that has been done. I really, really do. As we were talking earlier before we started, I'm going to steal one for talking points. If that's okay. Sorry. She brought up the fact that the Trails Master Plan says that it's $2 million basically to create a trail that's safe under the idea of liability, you know, all the bells and whistles that you would need to make it safe. Even if we did a matching grant with the Village of Ashcroft, that's $1 million that could be spent in other types of infrastructure. We have asset management that basically that we have to take care of. We have to take care of the roads, the sewer, all that kind of stuff. If we have $1 million to match, and there is a grant out there, sorry, I stole a lot of that, sorry. Then I'm glad I sat beside you.
Thank you.
I'll just stop at that point. I think there's a few bits there.
Okay, and moving along to Jessica.
Thank you. Thanks, Nadine. Ditto? I knew that Jim was going to ask this question, and
I never asked it.
You didn't.
I didn't ask it.
Okay, but I knew that Jim wanted to ask this question, so I read most of the Trail Master Plan. I skipped over the bike part because that was not an issue. But at the very end of the Trail Master Plan, the author puts in a little author's note that says that he did everything that he could to make the path possible. He contacted everyone that he knew in the industry. He contacted all of the professionals that he knew to try and make it work because it is a beautiful path. But it's not feasible. It's not financially feasible, and it's not safely feasible at this moment. That may change, but at this moment, it's a $2 million path, and it's just not financially feasible.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our next question. And this is for all candidates, and starting with Jessica, what is Ashcroft's most marketable asset, and how would you market it?
I think I'm gonna have to say art again. We have a thriving art community. I've been part of the plein air group for the 5 years that we did it before we had to shut down for COVID. Every single one of those artists have come back time and time again because they love being here, they love the community, they love painting our landscapes, and they bring friends next, and so being able to market Ashcroft as a place where artists can work and live would be one, and being a place where people who enjoy art can come enjoy art would be another. And again, it's just a matter of getting the information out to the communities, and that would be starting within even our region. We don't need people coming from Australia. We need people coming from Kamloops or Williams Lake or even the Lower Mainland to come and enjoy the day or the weekend and spend money in our community.
Thank you.
I would tend to agree. It's been a very organic process since we actually sat in this same hall, and we had meetings about what our brand was going to be. And the brand idea that was, as far as I understand it, because I had cut out a couple of meetings before it was decided, that arts and culture was actually the second in line. And here we are 10 12 years later, somewhere in there, 12 years later, that organically, what has happened? Arts, music, and the mosaics over the last, 7 years. And I think, again, a lot of artists have moved it to Ashcroft. I think in order to do this, we need to strengthen, simplify, and clarify our branding. It's too confusing. Historic Ashcroft, come to Historic Ashcroft where wellness awaits you. It's always been confusing for me, and that's where we need to start. And as what the village can do, and what you all, again, can participate in. And I know that costs money, but to move forward, we really need to define ourselves. And it's frustrating, and it's probably darn confusing for the people who want to come here and enjoy what we do. Because
Thank you.
it's here and it's here.
All right, and
It's
moving
got to be
along,
here.
to Doreen.
Well, I think we all know where I stand on the brand. That's what got me into politics. I'm not going there. I agree. I think I could handle definitely having arts and hiking and everything in a brand. I have never agreed with Wellness Awaits You. I didn't understand it when it came out, and I still don't understand it. I cannot explain it to people when they ask me, so I would be happy to see it gone. But I don't know how much money it would cost to change it. It would have to be looked into.
So again, the question is, what is Ashcroft's most marketable asset, and how would you market that?
Oh, boy.
I guess I'd say
You're in trouble between both of us now. I think art is definitely, our mosaics, they're so beautiful. And I don't know, I know Gold Country works on getting our name out there, and I don't know the answer, as always. I just sort of rushed into this election process, so I haven't had time to really digest everything. But I think maybe advertising on Facebook, on however we can advertise, radio.
With your local media person?
So yeah, that's my opinion.
good one.
Or you have a lot of dew branches around here.
Pardon me?
You have a lot of dew branches around here.
Yes, we do as well,
So,
yes.
you know,
Yeah, it's good.
that would be something to promote.
All right, and now we'll keep moving along to,
Me again?
yes. I keep seeing the J, so I want to call you Joris in my yeah.
It's easy. Exactly the way you pronounce it, yours.
Joris.
Hi, I'm yours. And I don't say I'm yours because I don't make those promises.
Okay,
Anyway.
so what is the Ashcroft's most marketable asset, and how would you market
I
it?
think we have to create one. Because, like they said, it's kind of confusing the way it is now. We don't really know what to push. So, what I'd like to push, personally, is that Ashcroft can become a world leader in showing other communities how we can adapt to a changing climate. We talk about walking trails. Well, try and walk downtown on a hot day. We need more shade. We need to deal with the heat that is going to come. We know it. So this is the time to start acting and work on climate adaptation. And if we do it right, and if we do it quick, hopefully, then we can actually have something we can market and say to other communities, look at what we did. How we were ready for the new world, because it is here. Just think of, and people talk about the cost. How much is it costing to do nothing? You have to rebuild Highway 8. Look at what their damages are in Florida. in Nova Scotia, you name it. We cannot afford not to adopt a new climate picture. Let's work on that.
Thank you. And Jonah.
So for a marketable asset for our community is the land that we live in. We need to promote it more, not only to our local artists and that, but to our local recreational people. We have so much more than just art in Ashcroft. There's such a vast amount of things that we can do in this community. We have our art, we have fishing, we have untapped recreational resources out here. It's time that we start tapping into them and bringing in not only the people that are looking for the mosaics, but want to come to the mosaics and the mountain biking and our lovely restaurants and cafes that like we need to market. We need to let the people around not only the province and that and around Canada, but look like people were saying earlier globally in that. I have noticed a huge amount of people in our town that are here for the day for visiting in that, and they've never come to town before in that. Like those things are great, and that's what we want. We want to bring those people into town because then they're going to go home, they're going to tell their friends, and they're going to tell their friends, and they're going to come up to Ashcroft and visit us.
Thank you. All right, Mayor, would you like to add anything onto what you guys have been working on for marketing Ashcroft?
Everything they all said. There's something I keep coming back to, and I don't know how you market this, but it's something that I hear over and over again from people who come here, is they are just overwhelmed by everyone. They're overwhelmed by how friendly we are. And Ashcroft, it has the feel of a small town because it is a small town. We're not faking that. But we have a lot of big city amenities. People are amazed at what there is to do here. You hear so much about small towns. People from the big cities think, oh, there's nothing to do there. The sidewalks all roll up at 5 o'clock. And to an extent, yes, they do. If you want to get Thai food at 2 in the morning, this is not the place to move to. But if you look at something like the Ashcroft Hub, that is a phenomenal asset for our community. When people, especially people with families live here with young children, the number and the range of things that are available to them, that just completely stops them from thinking there's nothing to do here. And we need to market that to people who are looking to move here. The healthcare professionals, the teachers, the police officers, the entrepreneurs, the people who want to work from home, the retirees, the people with young children starting out. We need to let them know that Ashcroft is not a place where there's nothing to do. There is lots to do here. We offer so much, and the reason we can offer so much is because of all the people who make these things happen. Our volunteers are second to none. And without our volunteers, we wouldn't have so much of what's going on at the Hub. We really need to get the word out that we're a great community. We have big city amenities, small town charm and feel. I tell people, come and check us out for a couple of days. You'll want to stay here for the rest of your life.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to our next question. What role could Ashcroft play in healthcare services? What role could Ashcroft play in healthcare services? We'll start with Jessica.
So again, it all leads back to convincing people that this is where they want to be. Everyone is looking for healthcare providers, so we need to stand out from the crowd and convince people in all the ways that we talked about tonight that this is where they want to be. One of the other things that the Hub is working on is we have created a space for alternative practitioners to come to Ashcroft, because I know so many people have to go to Kamloops for a chiropractor, for massage, for physiotherapy, and I'm hoping that by creating a space for them, we're able to provide those services locally instead of everyone having to go to Kamloops to provide those services. But the biggest thing is how do we stand out from the crowd to convince people that instead of moving to Williams Lake or to Chase, that they come to Ashcroft.
Thank you. Nadine?
Well, I'll just say a small bit of recent, because of this, the new urgent care model. that just got introduced. A local resident just told a friend, she's been here for over a year and a half. And within one visit, she's now got a family doctor. So that does speak volumes as to what we're think about it, that we were even 2-3 years ago. There's always a starting point for something, and I feel like sometimes this healthcare, housing, and economic development, they all roll into one big package. Because you're not going to attract, I remember, and there's still probably people leaving Ashcroft because there's no hospital. We need to be gaining people because there is a new urgent care model. And now this person has a doctor. And so does the next person who comes to town. So that's the beginning of it. I don't know if that's the answer to your question. But for me, it's about, we are doing it. We are doing it in whatever order that we can. And the people who were behind those meetings that created this opportunity that we are now in, they are the heroes of this current, whatever model we're in, whatever attraction mode we're in it. And it can only hopefully get better.
Thank you. And moving along, the question again is, what role could Ashcroft play in healthcare services? Doreen.
I'm not sure really how much the village council can do, because I don't think it's in our mandate. But we can keep pressure up on the higher ups and just keep nagging and complaining and not letting them forget us. Hopefully our new model is going to work, and so we won't have to worry about it, but we're going to have to wait and see how it goes. But we will be loud and boisterous.
Thank you.
I'll be short and to the point. I don't have a clue.
Okay, and Jonah.
I think we need to build on what we've already built on for the last 2 years now. We've had a really amazing group of volunteers and powerful women in our community that have spearheaded it's not called WAC anymore, the Health and Action Wellness Coalition Group. And those ladies are the ladies that we need to champion where we need to go with our healthcare and that. Like, they've been around and they know the models and they've seen how they can work. And I've got nothing. I was part of that group in the beginning of my term on council, and the amount of stuff that I learned from that group of ladies is phenomenal. We have so many good ambassadors for our community in that, and we need to keep using them to reach out to the higher ups in that, because like they were saying, at a municipal level in that, things only go so far, but it's who you know and who you can poke at to get them to shake the next person up the tree there. Like, it's all about moving on forward and not moving up with it.
All right, and just to rephrase this question for the mayor, what role has the Ashcroft Village played in the healthcare services for us?
Oh my goodness, so many meetings, so many meetings, so many tables. And for the longest time, you'd go to the meeting and everyone would be full of ideas, and you'd think, wow, this is great. And then the next meeting would come along and you think, okay, that light at the end of the tunnel isn't getting any closer, really. And then suddenly, over the last few months, it seems to have really rushed up on us somehow. I don't know. Joyce is smiling. Yeah, the work of the WAC and then the Health and Wellness Coalition, I mean, Sheila, Leanne, Joyce, all the people who've been working so hard for more than a decade now, that's how long this has been going on, to get us to where we are now. The UPCC, I've seen a few complaints online. My feeling is let's give it more than 6 days to get going before we start deciding that it's a complete disaster as a model. I'm hearing good things. I've been talking to Interior Health. The village has been advocating for increased health care. I've had so many meetings, so many phone calls. with Interior Health, asking what's happening and when's it happening. How are we going to build on this now is the big thing. I went and spoke with Ian Wood from Interior Health, who's out here last week at the UPCC just to support staff, answer questions, talk to the public. He's already identified a couple of things that he hopes to get added soon. And he keeps stressing that this is very much a work in progress, so we can't rest on our laurels. Sorry, Joyce. We can't take a break. We have to keep working. This is a start. We have to identify what we can add to the model moving forward and what we need. Not what Interior Health thinks we need, not what the Ministry of Health thinks we need, what we actually need here on the ground. And even though healthcare is not a municipal mandate, that is where local government is uniquely positioned to be able to go to the higher authorities and say, right, this is what we need in our community because this is what we are seeing on the ground. This is our lived experience. So we need to keep doing that. We need to keep pushing, and we need to keep making sure that this new model is adapted to suit what we need here in Ashcroft and the surrounding area that depends on that hospital and health site for their healthcare needs.
Thank you, Barbara. I have 2 boys in my care, and we had to spend 3 days in the hospital in Kamloops, so healthcare is definitely on the minds of parents, especially for younger people moving into our communities. The next question is, do you see daycare required? What kind of solution do you see? Shouldn't council be involved? This question is to all candidates, starting with Jonah.
Daycare, you said?
Do you see daycare required? What kind of solution, do you see more daycare required? What kind of solution do you see? Should council be involved?
I believe we have a very good program after school program running in our area now. It's Mrs. Lasky's running that program in town. They have a very active program, and I don't see any more need for childcare from where I see things in that, but mind you, I'm not a parent as well, so I don't know a lot of those issues in that. I'm always willing to listen to what the parents have to say, to offer for advice in regards to that though.
Thank you, Jonah.
My kids are both over 40.
Doreen?
I as well have growing children, and I honestly don't know anything about the daycare situation in that project. Anybody wants to come
Well,
talk to me about it?
I guess then we'll just kind of rephrase this question. Looking to encourage more people to move into our communities. Many of those people will be younger people like myself that will need childcare. Is this something that the village could be involved in helping to support more childcare?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if the village. I don't know, actually. I really don't know.
Nadine?
Well, as far as I understand it, childcare unfortunately is not a mandate of the village of Ashcroft. So it's one of those things where we encourage perhaps what's happening right now, which is privatization of entrepreneurs, basically creating opportunities of employment, and a lot of, we will need more because we want more people, younger people, to move here. So what a great opportunity for an entrepreneur to further realize that there's lots of places for rent in Ashcroft, and they could be used for business. We could be champions of those entrepreneurs and champions of the idea, but we have certain mandates under what council does, or what the village of Ashcroft does. So we can lobby, we can encourage. Sure, it's a great idea.
Thank you.
But you need your roads done as well.
And Jessica.
So I do know a little bit more about the childcare situation in Ashcroft. The before and after school care at the school has a waiting list. There is not enough before and after school care. There is a daycare that is run out of the hub. They are full for the under 3s, but they actually have spaces available that they aren't able to fill for the 3 to 5-year-olds because there aren't any right now. And so they have had a massive amount of people under 3 looking for childcare, but they can only have so many kids under 3 with the staffing that they have. It took them 4 years and 3 different people to actually be able to open because there was not someone that was willing to be trained and be paid to be trained to run the actual daycare. Something that the village could possibly do is provide other opportunities for kids after school that maybe can't be at home, but are quite independent and just need a place to be for a few hours. I'm not sure what that would necessarily look like, but really that would be the only way that the village itself could provide support.
Mayor, do you have anything to add? Has the village supported childcare services in our community?
We certainly recognize the need for childcare, daycare, before and after school care. The lack of the early childhood educators is an issue, as Jessica pointed out. A number of years ago, I'm thinking back about 5-6 years ago, School District 74 teamed up with college and offered an ECE course that people could take in this region. They could do all the training, I believe, at Cache Creek Elementary School. And that would be an excellent way, I think, that the village could support something like that, would be working with the school district to provide the training opportunities. We see this with so many things, whether it's paramedics or nurses. People from the big cities, it can be a hard sell to get them to come to a small town. The trick that more and more people are thinking of and talking about is training people who are already in the small towns, training our young people or people who are looking to transition into a new career, training the people who actually already live in Ashcroft, Cache Creek, Clinton, Clearwater, Barrier, because they're the ones who are likely to want to stay here. So if we could come up with a program where we could help to support people in the community who want to get that early childhood education training, that to me is a way that we could concretely help a lot of things at the same time, help people looking to transition to a new career or get training, help working parents, and also we're the ones on the ground. We're the ones who can say this is the space that is available for daycare, for childcare spaces. We know what's here, and I always say the best boosters of our community are the 1,700 people who live here. So we need to talk up Ashcroft and we need to say, hey, if you're an ECE who wants to move somewhere lovely and have guaranteed work, come to Ashcroft.
How do you propose to monitor the cost of rental buildings for somebody to open a daycare or business? Can you, I know, for example, there's a building downtown and he's charging $35,000 a month to rent a building. A month. 3,500, thank you.
For rentals, it's what the market will bear, sadly, the same as housing prices. People were, and rental housing, there was a good deal of comment, shall we say, about some of the rental prices that were being asked for units in Ashcroft. It's just not what we're accustomed to. It was more big city prices. The village has no control over what people decide they want to charge for their rents. What we can do is, as I said, promote what spaces we do have, try to work with developers to develop some pieces of land for what they need, get rid of the red tape, work with building inspectors to get them out here more often or more frequently than they do. They come out once a week right now. The village, municipal governments can't compete with a private business. We cannot set up a child care that's run by the village of Ashcroft. But we are always open, and staff are always open to talk to people and say, well, what do you need? What do you need and how can we work to get there? And if that means talking to people about spaces in downtown, what they need to suit, yeah, we can't force someone to adjust their rent, But we can hope to talk to developers and talk to people who do have existing spaces to say, look, this is what we need, and it's really going to benefit the town.
Thank you. Would anybody like to add to that question? All right, moving on. Where do you propose a dog park, and who would operate it? Jonah.
Basically, the areas that I have seen, there was talk of possibly the hub for a dog park area and that. As it comes down to it, Ashcroft doesn't have the land that to give up prime land for a dog park. I don't see the justification in it. I don't. Like, to use the property downtown for a dog park, I think is ludicrous when we can be using that to promote more business into the community and that's gonna bring more business into the town over a dog park and that. I have dogs myself, I walk the dogs around town and that, but a dog park's not gonna change it at the end of the day for me. Plain and simple, it's not, there's dog, like, when I take my dogs out to counts or whatever and that, we'll go use the dog park in counts and that. It's a great facility to have if it's there. But Kamloops has the need for it. They have the population for it. They have all that for it. We don't have it here.
Thank you.
We do have a dog population here and that, but I just don't see, giving up prime land for a dog park as a win over the potential of having another economic driver in this town, another business in this town.
Thank you. And moving along.
Once again, I will totally agree with the previous speaker.
I don't know the answer. Have you heard that tonight? I'm not sure, perhaps up in the Mesa, or perhaps down by the Blue Truck Park, the garden area. I don't like the idea, which was brought up before when I was on council, of having it down at the soccer fields. That just grossed me out. I just wouldn't want my babies playing soccer where the dogs have been, if you know what I mean. So, that's what I think.
Thank you. And Nadine.
I think the real question is, because we were talking about this, for 4 or 5 years now, maybe even more. I think it's important to ask the question, is there a need for a dog park? And if there is a need for a dog park, just like everything else that is based in people in our community having things that other people don't, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Is that the expression? Mm-hmm. The people who do have dogs need to be part of a group, an association. That is, I think, from the standpoint of the cart before the horse. We can say this is where a dog park would be good. Is there a need for a dog park? Because, as stated before, Ashcroft doesn't have a lot of land. Earlier we were talking about economic growth. So, what is more important? A dog owner would say a dog park. And that's fair. But we need to look at this whole issue as the journey that it has had. And as far as I understand the issue, the people who are part of that group want the village to do the work. Want the village to come up with the land and service it and have our village workers pick up doggy doo and control everybody's dogs. My fear, my personal fear, is that we are creating an opportunity for a lot of dog fights. That's my personal opinion. And that frightens me, to be on council as somebody who is putting a rubber stamp on this and saying, here's your dog park. I think we can't, it's just like parents. I'm not a parent, but as far as I know, there's no book for it. And there's no book for a dog owner either. So I guess I came about this a roundabout way because we have to think about it. There's no black and white answer. Is it where we are today, wanting a dog park, really?
Thank you. And Jessica.
So Ashcroft Council has actually had on two separate occasions, a working group to talk about the dog park. And I was part of the first group. And there were a few sites proposed, and then kind of nothing happened with it. And a few years later, a new council decided that they would form this committee to talk about dog parks. And the top proposed location was that piece of land on Railway after the blue truck. And yes, I understand that that is prime commercial real estate, but we actually have lots of other prime commercial real estate that is available, and a dog park would attract other people. Clinton's Dog Park is out of the way, and people stop there because they're traveling in their RV with their pets, and they specifically choose locations that have a dog park to stop. So a dog park doesn't take a lot of infrastructure, so if there is an opportunity for a huge commercial development, the dog park could be moved if that happens. But right now, it's just an empty lot, and it's going to sit as an empty lot until a potential commercial user comes and uses it. So that's, yeah.
Thank you. I do that as a dog owner. I will drive out to Clinton just to use their dog park.
Can I?
Yes, you can. We have about 10 minutes left before our closing statements, and we just have a few more questions.
I'll be quick. Dog park. The community garden has been a big success, touched on earlier. I'd like to see a dog park go in beyond the community garden and build up. I've lived here 26 years, and that's been a wasteland, that whole piece of land. It's just dust devils there when it's windy, which is most days. So I'd like to see a dog park go in there. It doesn't have to be fancy, as far as I understand from being on the first dog park select committee. A fence, a double gate, a water source, a sign with the rules, and a doggy bag dispenser and garbage can. Anything after that, we can get a committee, we can get community residents can do some fundraising to pretty it up, get the little fire hydrants inside for the dogs to have fun with, trees, benches, paths, that can all come later. That was the approach we took with the community garden. Let's get the darn thing built, and then we can worry about prettying it up later. So I'd like to see a dog park go in. That land sat there for 26 years, where J.J. Ting used to be, in between Nature's Gifts and Jackie Taggart's office. That burned down in 1976. So that's how long that piece of property's been empty. So I don't know that anyone's going to be rushing to build or develop anything beyond where the blue truck and the community garden are. We can move the dog park if we have to, but like Jessica said, study after study that I've read, people who are traveling, especially older people, retired people, they got Fido or Rover in the RV with them, they're planning their journey by looking to see which communities have an off-leash dog park. That is as important to them as having somewhere that they can get out and stretch their legs. It's an economic driver, gets people into town, solving that problem. How do you get them to come off the highway? You build a dog park in town, they'll come down off the highway to use that, they'll drive all along Railway. Oh look, there's a drugstore, look there's a museum, look there's a bakery, look there's a nice little tea house. That's how we get people to stop, and that's how we provide economic development.
Thank you. All right, so we have 3 more questions left, and we have about 5 minutes before our final closing statements. So hurry up along. All right, for our next question, how could we make our community more accessible to people with mobility limitations? Jonah.
So in our area, we have a lot of sidewalks, are a big thing. Making sidewalks more accessible in the community for people that have mobility issues. Mobility issues, we've got, it's a huge thing all the way around because we have a lot of old infrastructure in our community, so we have to adapt that old infrastructure to fit with what we need now. So yeah, it's going to take some work and some collaboration with stakeholders for it.
All right. Yours.
Let's do it wherever it's needed.
All right. And Doreen?
I have to be honest, I've not thought of this. I'm lucky enough to not have a mobility issue. So I don't have an answer, but it's something I think that needs to be looked into and see what the solutions are and how much the solutions would cost. And I think for businesses, that is up to them to make it so that the disabled can get into their business without any problems.
Nadine?
Well, yes, there are sidewalks that have the downgrades so people with wheelchairs can get in. I think, as Doreen just pointed out, our infrastructure and the buildings that we have are older, and a lot of them are privately owned. There's an education piece, and I always seem to come up with that phrase. There's an education piece that perhaps needs to be done with if that becomes part of our mandate, is to get some workshops happening that is about informing building owners and leading by example, perhaps. A lot of the village infrastructure has been looked at, and I believe we have done some changes. That ramp, obviously the ramp is the big change that can further be tackled, There are a lot of things that need to be done when you're talking about a building and a ramp. There's a lot of TNRD codes and so on that needs to be done. So again, I go back to that, if it's part of something that we want to tackle as a community, as the village of Ashcroft, as a council, is to get the education happening and build some knowledge about what it means to be an accessible community.
Thank you. And Jessica?
I will be as quick as I can. So the Rick Hansen Foundation actually is able to provide accessibility surveys to tell you how accessible your community actually is and provide you with information of how to become more accessible. So first step is to find out where we're lacking, and second step is how do we correct that? And that's a village-wide thing. Private businesses, village property. You can't fix something if you don't know what's wrong yet. So the first step would be to do a village-wide assessment to see where we are accessible and where we're not, and how then we can make that list of where we can go.
All right, thank you. And what do you think Ashcroft's next infrastructure project should be? Jessica?
A dog park? Is the hot tub done?
Doing.
Okay.
It's doing.
I think that current council and past council have done quite a bit of actual village infrastructure upgrades. I know one of the boring upgrades is our sewers pipes and water pipes are all older than I am. And I mean, that's not saying much, I'm not super old. But it's a boring infrastructure upgrade, but it's one that is needed and one that is going to take a long time to upgrade because of the work that has to be done with it. I don't think there's any above ground immediate needs.
All right, and moving along to Nadine, what do you think Ashcroft's next infrastructure project should be?
I would say finishing off the projects that we already have.
All right.
We do have a strategic plan, and we do have a budget that is what this council has put forward. So some of the projects, although we can suggest them, they have to be in a budgetary situation to be afforded. So write down those ideas and bring them to council meetings.
Okay.
Because we will be also making a budget for, or the next council will be for the following years.
And Doreen.
What Nadine said, I agree. I won't repeat it.
Next, infrastructure, a fire break around the entire community. Let's get ready for the next problem.
Next big infrastructure, I'll have to agree with Jessica, is definitely our underground infrastructure. It's definitely something that's gonna be needed, will be looked at over the next few years. Along with that, our roads. We have roads that we're gonna have to start looking at for repair. And like some of the roads are gonna be big section, and roads cost money. So it's gonna, unfortunately, it's one of those things that are gonna have to be looked at, and it's gonna have to fit within the budgetary confines of everything, right? So.
All right. So the next question is, recycling has gone backwards in Ashcroft, 22-kilometer round trip. Honestly, I only recycle because my garbage is full. How can we improve this? How can we improve recycling in Ashcroft? Jessica.
I'm hoping that the TNRD transfer station is not a 22-kilometer round trip. I am guilty of not recycling everything that I could because it is such an out-of-the-way place to do it. And again, I think that there's opportunity for an entrepreneur to create a business to be able to actually bring recyclables to the Eco Depot once it's open. It's tough, it's education.
Thank you. Nadine.
Well, I'm gonna say ditto. But I will say also that, you know, it definitely has been a learning curve for many people, and some neighbors are still in the hunt for doing recycling. Some neighbors are not. I'm hit and miss. I'll tell you that. I own a business, I basically hire somebody to go up and get rid of the recycling. If there were more people like that, or a group of people, again, we go back to not so much entrepreneurship, but our volunteer base has to, you know, as citizens, one has to care about this particular subject. And, which I do, and I think a lot of you do, we do, together. Obviously, it needs to be addressed because, again, this station, we hope, just like the urgent care model, we hope that the new transfer station will get people recycling again.
Okay.
Mobility issues do play a role in that. That's where groups, and let's start now to create an atmosphere of recycling.
Thank you, Nadine. And Doreen.
I've kind of touched on this a bit in our opening. It's my opinion that the transfer station is too far away. I would have liked to have seen it stay in town. I know it's too late now. I would have liked to have seen it stay in town, and so the one in Cache Creek stay in town, a big fence around it, I don't know, somehow, and have it manned a couple of days a week, and have that one manned a few days a week, but I think that's too late. I'm not sure of the answer. Obviously, it would be nice if somebody would open a business of picking up recycling, because I do think it's important. I recycle all the time. It drives me and my family crazy sometimes. I think we could look into how other villages handle it. Like, do they have staff go out and get it, or do they have somebody contracted to pick it up? I just think it needs a little bit of research, and hopefully we can find a solution, because so many people have told me, oh, I don't recycle anymore. And it bothers me. It makes me sad.
Thank you.
What I see before me is a bunch of local people who care. You are recyclers. We need a lot more education for those who just want to dump it somewhere. And unfortunately, there appears to be quite a few of them. And the only way we can change that is to make it easier. Perhaps somebody can start it downtown to pick it up and take it to the TNID. The TNID cannot put it in town. TNID has to serve the area. So they try to get as close as possible, but it's still going to be a bit of a trek, especially for people who don't have a vehicle. So I'm all for it, and so are most of you, I know that. But we have to educate the people that just dump stuff.
Thank you. And Jonah.
I'm going to agree with yours on this one. But to that also, like education is a big thing, but we have community user groups in our town. We have Better at Home. We have those kind of community resources that possibly the village could help with them getting grants and that for stuff like that. And looking at a recycling program in that for our area, a blue box program or something like that. I know our lovely public works guys would just love to add a little bit more on their garbage truck. We've got such a great group of guys, really be more than willing to do that.
All right. And our final question of the night before we conclude our question and answer period. We live in a small community and we all wear multiple hats. How will you be unbiased and be inclusive to all groups in our community and not just the people that are in the room today, but everybody? How are you going to be inclusive to all groups in your role? Making sure everyone has an equal voice.
I'm going to do it the same way I've done it for my last 4 years by listening to what the people want. Because at the end of the day, it's not what I want, it's what the collective group as a whole wants.
Thank you, Jordan.
I have to be honest, I'm going to be biased to a certain point because I have the things that I want to see done. And if people bring me ideas and I think they're worthwhile, yes, I'll work on that. But other than that, look after yourself, please.
I think we have to be approachable so people are not nervous about coming to us with questions. And I think we have to be open to listening and hearing what they have to say. Oops.
Definitely listening to our community. I believe the last 4 years there's been a change in how the rapport between council and Ashcroft, I think has the transparency, the ability for us to hear what you're saying. In terms of what we deal with as a group, it's a democratic process. So we practice pretty hard being mindful about hearing each other. But the biggest aha moment I've had in my life is that it's like being a DJ. You can't please everyone. And I've been a DJ. So.
Thank you. And Jessica.
I think, again, that the council has been working in the right direction. We've had lots of community forums over the last few years. The working groups is a great, fantastic way to include community members. But again, it is also the people that aren't in this room for a reason. There's a reason they're not here. As Barbara mentioned earlier, there's a lot of keyboard warriors. You have to be willing to ask the right person the question and provide us with feedback as well, instead of just putting it out to Facebook land, because we're not going to respond on Facebook land. And so it is a two-way communication. You need to come to us with your problems and your concerns, and we will be here and we will listen.
Thank you. This concludes our question and answer period. Each candidate will now have 2 minutes to finish their closing statements. We will start with Jessica.
Good. Closing. Okay, just making sure I got the right ones, not the same ones again. Thank you again for attending tonight, and thank you to Dana and Valley TV for hosting. And thank you to all of the candidates who have put their names forward. The current council has adopted a more collaborative approach to their decision-making through the use of working groups, and this provides a great way to work through challenges while engaging community stakeholders. Finding the solution to our problems will work through collaboration, through transparent communication, and by allowing the voices of different opinions the chance to speak. I have a proven track record of being open and honest, working well with others, and getting things done. I ask that you allow me this opportunity to serve Ashcroft. I look forward to working together to learn from our history and carry Ashcroft into the future. As Bilbo Baggins exclaims in The Lord of the Rings, I think I'm ready for another adventure. So do me the honor of putting an X next to my name on October 15th or the 5th, and let's get on this adventure together. Thank you.
Nadine, and time.
Well, thank you to Valley TV and Dana and fellow candidates. When I was asked by friends, family, and customers if I would be running again, I found my response was ultimately, there's still a lot of work to be done. And I've covered a lot of some of the talking points that I've already covered in the answer and question. I don't want to repeat myself. Because I think we're all in agreement on a lot of things with housing and economic development. But I think it's really important that we lobby the landowners and developers with existing properties to either sell or develop their properties into affordable housing, multi-tenant housing, and seniors housing. We haven't talked a lot about seniors housing tonight. Perhaps even looking at downtown core upper suites. I was at UBCM.
1 minute.
One of the quotes that I said, I heard, if you can't build out, build up. I know that's a scary thought in Ashcroft, but there are possibilities, perhaps, to encourage secondary suites in existing houses and look into alternative housing, such as tiny homes. Strong messaging to outside corporate players in industry. We have land for sale
30 seconds.
within our downtown core. Woo! Okay. There is certainly more to be done. And I ask for your vote on October 15th.
1 minute. Doreen? And time starts now.
Pardon?
Time starts now.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I apologize for the questions I could not answer tonight. I have to be honest and say I haven't really been following it for the last 4 years. Our council has done such a good job that I haven't had anything much to complain about. So, I have experience working on council. I was elected in a by-election in 2013 and re-elected in 2015. So it hopefully won't take me long to get back into the run of things. I love our village from my heart and will always have Ashcroft's best interest in any decisions that have to be made. Thank you all for showing up. Make sure to vote. Doesn't matter who you vote for, just make sure you vote.
Thank you.
I think I've made it fairly clear tonight what my focus is, and my focus is firmly into the future. We need to look 10 or even more years ahead in our current planning. If we don't start now, we lose. Other than that, if I'm elected, I will have an office downtown. I'll put a little shingle on my store saying I'm a council person, you can come and talk to me here. So I can communicate with people, of course on my opening days. Other than that, please, like Doreen said, come and vote.
And Jonah.
In closing for myself, I'd just like the opportunity to continue on with the work that we started 4 years ago. I got the opportunity to work with a great group of ladies, like I mentioned earlier. And just to be around all of it has been amazing. I went to UBCM this year, and just that conference alone opened up my eyes to what the possibilities that we have if we have the right people in the places within our village and our community that are leaders that want to make those changes in that. The abilities and resources are out there in that. We just have to find them, and we have to have the right people advocating for it. I really don't have much more to say. I've proved myself. I think I've proven myself to the community in my community service work that I've done over the years, and I look forward to being able to continue to serve you and continue to serve you not only the next 4 years, but down the road in the future as well.
Thank you very much. And that now concludes our All Candidates Forum. Thank you so much to all the candidates, and thank you for joining us. Each candidate will also be invited for a one-on-one interview with Valley TV, so you can ask any questions that you may want to ask just by emailing us at news@valleytv.ca. Thank you so much, Mayor Roden, for joining, and if you have any last statements, you can do so now.
Vote. I'd say vote early, vote often, but don't do that. Just
All right.
get out there and vote, because every vote counts.
October
Just a
15th.
reminder, 4 years ago in Clinton, Mayor Swan defeated former Mayor Roland Stanky by 1 vote. So every vote matters, so please get out and vote.
Have a good night. Thank you for coming. The only question I didn't ask was a repeated question, which was about, no, it was a housing question. Yeah, affordable. Oh! What are your ideas for improving